Hello, this is Michael Wojcik with the Rochester City Council update for August 17th, 2015. After this video, I'm headed out on vacation, so don't expect it to be too long. Four things I'm going to talk to you about. First of all, I think what everyone's most interested in is the broadband presentation that we received at the committee of the whole meeting today. We had two presenters, one from Alcatel-Lucent and one from a private investor kind of related to their mission. But as expected, they presented an incredibly compelling business case for the city of Rochester with with some relatively conservative assumptions about our community and our willingness to dump charter. They projected that the project over 30 years would be a $100 million net present value to the community and a return on our investment of almost 30%. It'd be cash flow positive in 3 years and covering all debt within 6 years. Just a phenomenal business case. Really excited to see just how great the business case is for broadband in Rochester. And with factored into that model would be the ability to deliver some households, for example, families with kids on free and reduced lunch at the high school, true broadband at a rate of about $9.95 a month. And obviously we can change some of these assumptions. So in addition to that, the case is so compelling. I mean, it's such an incredible opportunity here in the city that there's even a private investor that came with, or somebody representing a firm that actually gave us a second option. If we didn't want to do everything ourselves, we could potentially partner with them, and they'd be willing to build out the system, public-private partnership, and operate an open system that would allow a certain number of service providers to come into the community. And at the end of a 30-year period, we would actually maintain ownership. And owning that fiber in the ground is critical because that's the missing piece that lets Charter exploit us today. I also shared the results from RPU, where more than 3/4 of the people of Rochester want RPU to investigate whether we should offer broadband. So clearly the public wants us to do this. Next steps, I'm very excited about this, is we're going to have staff dig in and really challenge the assumptions that they made in their model, take a look at the data, make sure it is accurately representative of our community. We're proposing a couple of half-day webinars between them and staff, and if in fact the business case is as incredible and phenomenal as it looks right now, well then we can go ahead and proceed with third-party verification. In terms of my personal feeling where the council came down is two members, Ruska and Stave, are just opposed to this. Absolutely, there's no amount of data that I think is going to sway either one of those two. Council member Hickey and Bilderback are really interested in seeing the data, and there was some compelling data in here. And we're all aware that as soon as we do something like that, Charter is going to suddenly become a lot more friendly and a lot more competitive in the community. So we have that we're going to have to deal with. And then myself and Sandra and Nick Campion were pretty supportive of the concept. I mean, the data speaks for itself. How can you walk away from such a magnificent business case providing such a critical service of which we have such a poor community steward in Charter Communications right now, and really for most of the community, Charter Communications is the only company that delivers broadband speeds. CenturyLink can in some areas, but Charter service is very mediocre. In fact, their upload speeds don't even meet the state of Minnesota statewide broadband goals for 2015. You'd think that we were in somewhere in a rural western Minnesota or something, but actually we're the third largest city and we get upload speeds of 3 or 4 megs. So it's pretty embarrassing and it's bad for our businesses. So thank everybody for the support and keep it up. Second of all, we'll go from another popular topic, from broadband to beer, and I did initiate a change which will allow liquor sales just in conformance with the state law. It doesn't obligate anybody to do anything, but it means that all of our growler sales would be able to go till 10 p.m. And if a liquor store wanted to stay open till 10 p.m., they can do that too. Don't see any reason for the restrictions, and hope that sails through. It'll probably be brought up at the next meeting. Next up, the senior center. Really, it'll be a great project when it's done, and you can read ad nauseum on this topic on my website. I poured my heart and soul into just kind of laying it out down there what all the issues are. I did support the memorandum of understanding with some clarifications between the city and the senior center. I did not support the $1.7 million. I think it's too much, and I think they're going to be putting a lot of things that are not necessarily needs into the facilities that are more wants. That $1.7 million are dollars that are competing with public safety, public infrastructure, affordable housing, transportation. That's really disappointed that we got to this point, but if you want to see how the whole thing unfolded and what the truth of the matter is, just visit my website at votewojak.org and you can see that. And finally, under other business, Mr. Bilderback also brought up he was going to we talked about a couple things that are really going after some of the persistent problem landlords that we have in the community, and also going taking a look at what Nona did with capping rental rates within neighborhoods. And we started the process of looking to that. The Supreme Court kind of punted on the issue, so we were disappointed by that. But what we ended up doing was taking a long view. And what we're going to do is we're going to study the data to see if restrictions like this make sense for Rochester. I tend to believe that, in fact, that they do in a number of areas. And secondly, we also want to take a look at some information on what Minneapolis does, because there's a loophole in the rental code that if you sell something for a contract for deed but structure it like a rental, you can get around all the rental regulations. And we think what Minneapolis does is they actually enforce the housing code on their rentals to keep them current, and that just that way, when the contract for deed comes up, if there are clear issues that are not being addressed, we maybe have some more teeth to go after people. And there's a few people in the community that really exploit it, but we're going to, I think Bilderback and I, we've been patient long enough waiting for the Supreme Court to do their job, and then the Supreme Court just punted on it, so that was pretty worthless. That's all I got for you. If you got any questions, save them. I'm going on vacation. Actually, you can reach me at my other email address, which is mbilderback@rochestermn.gov. Sorry, Mark. But if you do have anything, just shoot me an email, and if you don't hear from me, I'll probably get back to you when I get back. But hope you have a great couple weeks, and see you at the next council meeting. Bye.